When it comes to interacting with the memory of an app, DDMS provides two primary tools for that. One tool is the heap viewer that actually gives us a view into the heap of a virtual machine. And basically it's showing us all the memory buckets that are inside of the heap manager, right? And the heap manager, again, is really kind of more of a higher level view because it's looking at memory in terms of the size of the objects that are being allocated. So we get a list of all the size objects that we're interacting with, and we can see, are we creating a lot of small objects, are we creating a lot of objects of a given type? And if we select what the individual object size, we can then see a distribution of how those objects are created, how many we have, and what the size of those are within the individual buckets. This is a good high-level picture. I know for me, it's much more usable to be able to see things in terms of my application types. So for me, I use the allocation tracker a lot more rather than the heap viewer. The allocation tracker is detailed memory information by the object types inside of my app. Right? So I actually see class names of the Java classes or the Android classes or my custom classes that I'm actually allocated inside my application. It can be a lot of data, of course, because obviously many applications can create a great deal of object instances. But you can see all those individual types that you've allocated, and when you select a given type, it'll actually show you the call stack of exactly how that object was allocated, or I should say exactly where that object was allocated. So it gives you tremendously detailed information about your allocations inside your application. So let's take a quick look now at using the memory tools themselves inside of DDMS. Now right now I'm inside of Eclipse, and I'm currently looking at the Java perspective, which is what it normally opens up into, and I need to move into the DDMS perspective. So I can either select that right here. If that's not visible right now, because sometimes this list will rotate and change based on what I'm using, I can always click on this little button here and choose DDMS from there, and that switches me to my DDMS view. So you can see here that I've got the list of my connected devices now, right? So you see I have an emulator connected and a real device connected, and my tools tabs. So here we are on the heap tab. So what I can do here is that I've got a reading app I use quite a bit on my device. So if I select that, now right now there's no heap information in here. In order to start seeing the heap information, what I need to do is click on this button right here that says Update Heap. Now one thing to be aware of is that this will tremendously affect the speed of your application. Right? So you want to be aware of that when you're doing it. It's good for debugging, but you want to be really careful about what goes on. Right? And as I interact with my application, right, the application starts allocating memory, starts laying out the heap sizes, and you can see that as it's doing that, the system is gathering information about the objects that are being allocated. But as I mentioned, so these are really just high-level information, right? It's just showing you the object sizes as they're managed inside of the garbage collector. If I select one of those, it shows me those distributions, right? And I would really consider this kind of a really advanced debugging concept to be really looking at, I'm looking at lots and lots of little objects or lots of bigger objects. For most of us, it's much more helpful to look at types in terms of how we use them in our application. So instead of using the heap the heap tab, I'm going to use the allocation tracker. Now one thing I'm going to do is go ahead and turn this update heap off because it really slows down the application. If I go to the allocation tracker, and you said we can start tracking or stop tracking. Right now I stop tracking. Right, I say start tracking. It's tracking all my memory allocations. And what happens now is I say get allocations. It looks and sees what object types I have inside of here. Now I'm tracking now. And I'm actually going through my reader app. And I'm bringing up some more information. So I've interacted with my app a whole lot now. Now if I do get allocations again, you notice that now I've got a whole lot of more types in here. Right, so I can see all the things were allocated. And as we talked about, there's integer arrays in here, the Java language object, a layout type. You scroll through there, these are types that we actually recognize, right? Dynamic layout, text paint. And if I can select any one of these, and I actually see the full call stack of how that was allocated, right? Or excuse me, I should say where that was allocated. So it's very easy for me to see my types in a form I understand and see where in terms of my code it was actually allocated. Really useful for debugging. Now, one of the challenges, of course, is there's going to be a lot of entries inside of here. So what you can do is you can search through for the things you're looking for. So if there's a certain class, my class that you're looking for, you can type that into the filter, and that'll filter this down to just those that match the string you've put inside of here. Now, by default, the filter only searches the object types. If If you check this box, the search will not only check the object types, but will also check the method names down here. So if you're trying to figure out what all the objects were allocated in a given method that you wrote, you can check the include trace, type in the method name, and you'll see all the objects were allocated within that method.